This is part 1 of our Code Keepers series, part 1 of 9. This will be a 9-part series, and I will reiterate, why we call it a 9 code and not the 10 commandments, but the 9 commandments, the 9 code. And, this is very interesting and it's very important too. So, for my code keepers out there that really want to know truly how to keep the code, and, we're all beginners at getting back to something so simple. We're all beginners, man. We're not masters at the code or the frequency. I'm learning with you. I'm charging it with you, my niggas. So I appreciate you, being out there, man, just to charge up with, to, you know, um, really just grow some deeper roots and deeper connection in the foundation that we have. Hawaii gave us something very important, man, and the streets got a code. Everyone got a code. The beginning of that code comes right back to what they call the 10 Commandments, and it's a connection that any group, any crew, any gang, any tribe, it's a connection. The code connects you. To have a code that you keep is what connects you. It might be something that's simple, like watching that Mandalorian. He ain't supposed to take his helmet off. But it's what connects you to the creed, right? The creed powers. It's the battery. It's the source. It's the power for anything. If it's a machine, it's being put and popping off and sparking off in a particular order. If it gets out that order, if it's against its own, law of machinery or of physics or science or whatever, it's not going to work properly. You know what I'm saying? It got to flow in order, got to flow in code. And that's what it is for our tribe. Hawaii gave us something very special, a battery that never runs out, a source of energy, living waters that never cease, you know what I'm saying? And, the whole entire moral of the story is that you will get back in code, not because Hawaii's forcing it, but because you love it, because you love the results, you love the frequency that comes from, not putting no power before your power, not taking any vain breaths and having vain security, getting out that vanity, not taking his name in vain. I can't wait to talk about vanity, keeping your Shabbat, honoring your father and your mother, or like it says in the Los Lunas tablet, the big boulder, on the side in New Mexico. They call the Decalogue Stone. Honor your father and your mother above. Yeah, it's very specific. But we'll get it again because this is very important. This is only part 1 of the Code Keeper series. Honor your father and your mother, that your days be long. Don't murder. Don't commit adultery. We're going to start right here, Love the Dragon Child, who just brought up so many interesting, concepts and connections regarding adultery. It has interesting meanings, and, a lot of it's debated sometimes is what is adultery? Is it simply just referring to marital, the marital bond, between husband and wife? Why does Hawaii use it so much to, compare Israel with these adulterers and harlots? You know what I'm saying? And it seems to have a strong connection with idolatry, and Love to the Bro Dragon Child, it has a strong connection with mixing in general, you know what I'm saying? Especially with something inferior to you, you know what I mean? So, it's very important, to dig on adultery. So we're gonna start with that. It's gonna crack a lot of the It's going to crack a lot of their spell. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the New Testament, that's all you're going to get pretty much is, man and woman, the adulterer, lusting and, all that. So they're going to stop right there. But they're going to stop short quite a bit over there. And when you get into it, just back to the mixing, that New Testament and that power they're trying to give us with that JC, all power's been given to me, Matthew 28. All that is adultery. That is inferior. And it's straight up hijack. Don't steal. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor. Thou shalt not covet your neighbor's house. We talked about that with the remnant. All these spiritual Israelites, think that the code keepers is all about replacing the remnant. Right there, you're out of code because you're coveting the remnant's house. You're coveting the remnant's inheritance. You think they're washed up and washed out so that you could keep the code and get their inheritance and get the love from Hawa over his children? Man, Hawa don't like that, man. Hawa don't like it. So we're going to get into all this. We're going to do a whole series on the covetous, whole situation. This is just part one, you know what I mean? So let's back it up. Let's back it on up. Matter of fact, let's pop off right here in Proverbs chapter 6, man. And again, love the Dragon Child for, steering us in this direction here, man. And Ahab to the bro. That's my Naga that designed the Nagaville flag, man. So you see that beautiful flag, detailed and so meaningful, blue, purple, red. You think about the, brother Dragon Child, the Dragon Child, man, for real. So, Ahab, my Naga, let's get it, man. Proverbs chapter 6. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, have given your pledge for a stranger, if you are snared in the words of your mouth, caught in the words of your mouth, then do this, my son, and save yourself. You caught in your words? You saying the children of Israel ain't no more? Let's go, man. Do this for yourself and save yourself. For you have come into the hand of your neighbor. Go hasten and plead urgently with your neighbor. Give your eyes no sleep, your eyelids no slumber. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having a chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in the summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? Sounds like, the book of Genesis talking about Judah. Old lion, who will rouse you up? When you gonna wake up, Judah? When you gonna wake up, Israel? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and what? Like an armed man. A worthless person, a wicked person, goes about with crooked speech, winks with his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his finger, with perverted heart, devises evil, continually sowing discord. I always want to be starting something, right? Therefore, calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment, he will be broken beyond healing. There are 6 things Hawa hates, 7 that are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. among sisters. Yeah, this is something that no matter where you go, you're going to witness it. You're going to witness these false witnesses breathing out lies, sowing discord among their brothers and sisters. Haughty eyes. Ahab Aquatai battle, Ahab to the battle, family. Keep charging up, we with you. Haughty. Let's get it. Let me get this. Let me refresh this tab here. Get this out of there. There we go. Proud and disdainful. Oh, you proud, huh? You too proud to learn. You're too proud to hear the code. You're too proud to perfect yourself. Because you think you know everything. Everything's metaphysical to you. You got inner knowledge of everything, right? You too proud. You too proud to empty your cup. You too proud to drop your idols. Disdainful. Having a high opinion of oneself with some contempt for others. Lofty and arrogant. Supercilious. You know, it's one thing to be a confident kind. It's another thing to be so arrogant that you're just full of contempt for everybody else. So proud that, you know, you can't grow. You can't grow no more. Proceeding with excessive pride. You know what I mean? Yeah, you should have, pride in who you are. They say pride comes before the fall. Well, they're talking about that excessive pride. It's one thing to be proud of who you are, my niggas. There's nothing wrong with that. But, Hawa gave us so much that our pride was mingled with contempt. And we're going to get back to the mingling, back to the definition, of adultery. Love to drag a child, man. Yeah. It appears to have, you got your marital situation, that's the popular version, and I rock with that. Um, you know, the Christians just only see that particular definition, but Hawa, didn't just always refer to a man and a woman, um, you know, performing outside of their bedroom or something. It was about this mingling, about this mixing, man. Normally with something that's inferior, like the New Testament, Can't put that with the Tanakh. Nah, they're trying to give you a whole new power. Matthew 28, all power has been given to me. We're going to see how they look at the code, which is very, very limiting, to say the least. Proud, imperious, a haughty nation. Uh-oh. Lofty, bold, high hazard, haughty enterprise, proud, disdainful, arrogant, lofty. Used to be the head, not the tail. And becoming so arrogant that you think you can worship idols and still have land and still have peace. Yeah, that's haughty. That's a haughty spirit. Goes before the fall, Proverbs 16, right? Let's go. We're just talking about the 9 code. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil. Oh, I gotta slide on him. I gotta run and tell such and such before they hear from someone else. Lying tongues. This is what Hawa hates. This is what Hawa hates. False witness. You weren't there. You know nothing, but you speaking on it. You breathing out lies. You think you know, but you a false witness. You causing discord, man. Hawaii hates that, man. It's an abomination. Let's talk adultery. Let's go. My son, keep your father's commandment. Forsake not your mother's teaching. We're talking framer. You're talking shaper. What did mama teach you? What did Solomon pray for? Wisdom, discernment for his mama's teaching. Your father's code is your vibration. Exodus 20 got us in code. Because we know that if we can leave a nation with their code, if that's all we do is drop nation, man, all we do it for is to instill this. When we talk Prester John, we're giving you your concrete, I mean, this makes it real for you. You know what I mean? This gives you an investigation of why you KTC. This connects you to a true to life, righteous seed that was sought after, that they thought they could destroy. This connects you to your regal Negro, true royalty. This lets you know that it's beyond Indians and teepees. These are knights, knights of Hawaii, knights with the living water, with the fountain of youth. This brings your mythologies and turn them back to your story. But you don't have none of that without connecting directly and keeping your code. If we can at least leave a nation with a code, at least we can say, Managa, that we got them back in their foundation. This is what you got right after you got out of Egypt, right after you got out of bondage the first time. And as you're getting out of captivity this time, it starts with this. This is the most important elements. You can get your, fringes, you can get your beards, you can get all these other Levitical codes, but none of it's possible if you're out of this. And none of that led to your captivity. Breaking none of them Levitical codes, eating swine didn't even put you in captivity. But putting another power before your power, making graven images, and calling another daddy, that put you in captivity, my naga. That broke Hawaii's heart to the core. You might have got punished for the swine, but then at least, you can make recompense and do your sacrifice and put that energy into an unblemished, calf or whatever you're doing, right? That animal could then take the heat for your bad karma until you started breaking, no gods before me, man. Hawaii couldn't even, that was too much bad energy, bad karma for them unblemished sheep and goats and whatever, my naga. You had to get that work. You became the sacrifice. You became the sacrifice. You got crucified. Oh, but we're going to talk about it, We starting with adultery, but you see how this all connects. We start here. We got Nagas that are KTC and putting Hawaii most high over everything, you know what I'm saying? We got Nagas that are, not breathing Hawaii's name in vain, which is your breath. You ain't taking your breath in vain. Hawaii won't hold you guiltless, man, if you take your own breath in vain, your own name, Hawaii's name. Remember Shabbat, if we got Nagas back, counting the 6 days, they doing their work, but on the 7th day, they are resting, a complete rest for Hawaii. We got Nagas back, honoring their father and mother above. Of course, man, you got an honorable father and mother, give them honor, on earth. But not everyone has that. But we're going to get to it. We're going to get to the lost lunas, decalogues, stone and, really dig on the forbidden histories and, you know, um, go into why we call it the nine code. But we got Nagas that are not slaying each other no more in the community. Hey, Drop Nation, we did it, man. All praise to why. We got Nagas not committing adultery, whether it's in a marital sense or whether it's against Hawa with these other gods, these other powers. But Nagas, we did it. All praise to why. We got Nagas not stealing from each other. We could trust each other. We could leave anything around because we don't got no covetous Nagas. We got Nagas that's not bearing false witness, that keeps their mouths shut if they ain't no witness to the situation. They are not causing discord in the community. We got Nagas that aren't covetous, especially these Gentiles that think that they can replace Israel. You are covetous on Israel, on your neighbor's house. You keep the code so that you could replace us, or do you keep the code so that you can revitalize the root of the tree, get that covetous out your heart bone? And for my Nagas, we got to stop being covetous towards each other, covetous towards each other's families. Oh, I wish I had her family. Yeah, I wish I had this. I wish I had all this stuff, man. We got to get it out of our hearts. We got a bunch of jealous aquas and jealous ox, man. You ain't no ox if you a jealous ox. You ain't no aqua if you a jealous aqua. This is out of code characteristics, and we are starting with this. This is our foundation, our building block. You get to everything else after this. We at least got our Nagas focused on this, then we could pop off. Because they was popping off. They saw the thunder. They saw the lightning. They saw that smoky mountain. Volcanoes popping off. Hawa, Hawa. But we going to start right here with adultery. Love the dragon child. My son, keep your father's commandment. Forsake not your mother's teaching. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. When you're awake, they will talk with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life. A wise Naga loves correction because you want a brighter light, a brighter lamp. You want to be led by the frequency. As they say in the Star Wars, may the force be with you, right? You want that force. The reproofs of discipline are the way of life. What did mama say? You find me, you find life, but you might not like it. You might not like getting reproved. You might not like the correction. You might not like the discipline. But a wise Naga does because they want life. You getting corrected because you are promoting death with your covetous. You're promoting death with your murderous nature. Sliding on each other, killing each other back and forth over this set and that set, this color, that color, the homies over here and the homies here. Golly, my Naga. That's not the way of life. We see that. So you over here, we getting this work together, man. We getting disciplined together so we can walk in the way of life. To preserve you from the evil woman, from the smooth tongue of the adulterers. Now, my Nagas, are we simply just talking about a husband and wife, or is there a deeper meaning with the use of this term adulteress? To preserve you from the evil woman. Let's talk about this woman. Do not desire her beauty in your heart. Who's Hawa talking about? Just some, woman down the block? Or are we talking about idolatry? Are we talking about other gods? The beauty of these false, fallen idols? Do not let her capture you with her eyelashes, for the price of the prostitute is only a loaf of bread. But a married woman hunts down a precious life. Hmm. Can a man carry fire next to his chest and his clothes not be burned? Or can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be scorched? So is he who goes in to his neighbor's wife. None who touches her go unpunished. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry, but if he is caught, he will pay sevenfold. He will give all the goods of his house. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away, for jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse though you multiply gifts. You're going to get that gift back. So are we talking, you know, a marriage between a man and a woman only, or is Hawa getting also at, something else, like Hosea 3, when he goes into, calling Israel the harlot. We're just doing a nice free flow, into what are these codes, what's the meanings, yeah, of course, on the surface, it's always going to be, in terms of adulterers, a man that cheats on his wife, is pretty much the most common answer you're going to get, or a wife that cheats on her husband, or, that type of thing, right? So, and of course, that is the case because by definition, that's that. But Hawaii compares us with these harlots, right? So obviously, you're in violation of your, marital oath, your agreement, by mixing something in it, especially of an impure or inferior nature. It's this mixing, to the heart of the definition that we're getting to. And Hawa said unto me, go yet love a woman, beloved of her friend, and an adulteress, right? So we're talking about a woman, just like we were just talking about a woman and a man, in Proverbs chapter 6, right? We're talking Dawi there, we're comparing this out of coldness, this energy that's taking you out of something sacred, and you're mixing that something sacred with something else. The sin that Dawi was accused of, and back in Samuel and Kings, has a lot to do with this as well, right? Obviously, with Uriah the Hittite, and Bathsheba, that whole situation. So, we'll get back on that. And then the kingdom's divided. He loses that first child. He has to end up going to war with his son Absalom. He dies. So David had to take a lot of heat. He that was a big L. He lost a lot, at least two sons. Now go love a woman beloved of her friend and adulteress, even as Hawa loves the children of Israel. So it's not just stopping right there to only consider your marital bed, in terms of adultery. This goes right into idolatry. This goes right into rule number one. So although we are talking adultery, in this Code Keeper series, we are still talking rule number one at the same time, which I think makes for a beautiful introduction, especially for my code keepers, coming in on this, because it's very touchy. People, a lot of us, in relationships, uh, cheating is a big thing. you know, Either you cheated on somebody or you've been cheated on. I mean, so when they think about adultery, it triggers, this deep down suppressed, from this pain of being cheated on or making that mistake or, these type of things. So I want to take that. I want to address that pain. We want to go ahead and put all that on the table so that, we could all walk away from this and hopefully you in a brighter space and able to unleash some of that which has been suppressed and really see it as something even greater than your situation. Adultery is much greater than a particular marital situation, although it's all very great, because if you have an adulterous community, and everyone's just, not respecting their marital oaths, then you also have a community of discord. And we just got in Proverbs 6 that Hawaii hates, anyone causing discord. So think about it. You causing discord, that's, and it's going to be something Hawaii hates in general. But so how much more magnified does Hawaii hate when you cause that type of discord personally between you and the Creator? I mean, you did it to your wife or you did it to your husband. Hawaii hates that, especially if you do it to these other families. You're breaking them apart, right? But I mean, you get punished straight up. You know what I mean? So imagine breaking up your personal relationship, severing your personal relationship with the Creator. That's what we're really talking about with this harlot, this woman, beloved of her friend and an adulteress. Even as Hawa loves the children of Israel, though they turn into other gods. So this adultery has a lot more to do with you and your relationship. It has everything to do with these other gods. Now, if it was a sexual thing, why is Hawa comparing the children of Israel, with this adultery and these other gods? But if it has, and we're just talking definitions, of adultery, of being adulterous, we'll go further. It's not a sexual thing, you turning into other gods. It's not sexual, right? It has something to do with something that you're bringing in that shouldn't be there. Something that is impure that shouldn't be there. Something that is an abomination. Something that is inferior to your frequency that shouldn't be there. So Israel turned to these other gods, started baking these raisin cakes, right, to their queen mother of heaven. So I bought her to me for 15 pieces of silver, a homer of barley, half homer of barley. So this was the price, so that you don't have to be no whore no more. I said unto her, thou shalt sit solitary for me many days. If you wonder why you forgot about your Preston, it's because you've been in solitary, man. You ain't just been in captivity. You've been in solitary captivity. Ain't nobody really, they all been extorting Israel, man, for our talents, for our energy, for our magic. We've been in solitary. They haven't acknowledged us for us, you know what I'm saying? We've been called black and this and that and all these things, man, and we've been in solitary. Ain't nobody really messing with us like that. They They just watching us destroy ourselves, right? They coming in our communities, setting up shop. They milking us for everything we got. They're coming up off of our solitary. You've been in solitary because you ain't have no connection with each other for real, and definitely with the Creator for real. You must be in solitary if you ain't keeping it cold. Murdering each other, stealing from each other. And these idols, right? These idols that we are adulterous with. Which brings us back to Proverbs chapter 6. Is that just referring to this man and woman? Or is Hawaii using that again as an example, like he's using it right here, this woman beloved of her friend and an adulteress? And we're just really talking about the children of Israel turning into other gods. For the commandment is a lamp, a light of, and the light, and the teaching of light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life to preserve you from the evil woman, right? So we're talking about this harlot, this adulteress. And here we are playing the harlot. We become the adulteress, right? We're doing the mixing. We're doing the mixing. Evil woman, the smooth tongue of an adulteress, right? Do not desire her beauty in your heart, Israel. Start putting Israel after this. You'll start see it lining on up here with these children of Israel turning into other gods, having to sit solitary for many days. You shall not play the harlot. You shall not be any man's wife. You can't be in another contract. But here we go making contracts with these other powers. Nor will I be yours. How can I be yours? You're unfaithful to me. For the children of Israel shall sit solitary many days without a king, without a prince, without sacrifice, without pillar, without ephod, without teraphim. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return, seek Hawa their power, and David their king, and shall come trembling unto Hawa. Because you ain't no haughty eyes no more, right? Oh, no, you can't come trembling if you too haughty. You're not too proud no more. You're not too arrogant no more. You're not a haughty nation. You've been humble. You see that Hawaii will take your land away, will take away your things and your stuff. You see that you will sit solitary for many days without no royals, without no, you know, without no heritage, man. Everyone else is running around with your heritage. But one day you will return, Israel. That means you're still here, my remnant, my Nagas. You will seek the Creator directly, my remnant, Israel, that returns. Not spiritual Israel replacing us in their covetous ways and covetous hearts, but the actual seed that returns, seeks the Creator directly, and gets on their press to flow so that they can get their what? Their things and their stuff. Who got the keys? And shall come trembling with no more haughty eyes unto Hawa and his goodness right now, my Naga, in the end of days. Six things Hawaii hates, seven are an abomination. Haughty eyes. Oh, you too proud. But you won't be proud when you come trembling unto Hawa and his goodness in the end of days. To preserve you from the evil woman or the false idols, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress who's playing the harlot. Do not desire her beauty. Do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For the price of the prostitute is only a loaf of bread, but a married woman hunts down a precious life. Yeah, I mean, this is true in many, facets, man. I mean, in real time, this is 100% facts, man. You mess with someone's wife, you got a judgment coming on you like none other, right? From that man and just from your own energy, you know what I'm saying? From the creator, you know. So you don't do that, right? I mean, we're just talking the rules, right? You don't covet your neighbor's house. You don't covet your neighbor's wife. Back to adultery. So if this was just all about the neighbor's wife, you know what I mean? I don't think it would have to be specified like this in the ninth commandment, the nine code, right here with covetous, because that's covered in adultery. You see a lot of these kind of overlapping and coming together with each other, connecting with each other. Adultery must mean something even more than coveting your neighbor's wife. That's covered in covetous, you know. And it also connects directly with idolatry. No other gods before me. Back to Hosea 3. They turn into other gods. For the price of the prostitute is only a loaf of bread, but a married woman hunts down a precious life. Wow. I mean, wow. So, before we get into the definition, let's even fathom and talk about this question. Is adultery, you know, a man laying with someone outside of his marriage? Is adultery a man laying with a married woman? You know, some would say one is adultery and one is double adultery. I mean, these are things to, this is what we are investigating, right? So the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread. Right? So you could have got a prostitute. You could have just got a harlot. But you lay with a married woman. Wow, I mean, that hunts down a precious life, right? And that goes to, again, back in our community, you know what I'm saying? You might not be married and think that you ain't committing adultery because you ain't married, but if you're laying with a married woman, like to some, they brag about that type of thing. Oh, she was married too. My naga, you're playing with your life, right? Precious life. You could have just got a prostitute if you wanted to lay with somebody, but you had to get you a married woman, right? You had to create that discord or feed into it. Don't let her capture you. If she's an adulteress, she's a married woman that wants something else. Don't let her bat them eyelashes on you, man. But are we just talking about this woman, or are we talking about these other gods that Israel keeps turning to, being compared to an adulteress? Even as Hawa loves the children of Israel, though they turn into other gods. So, all right, let's go. So before we get into these definitions, love to Daniel Lowe, just go ahead, just point out a couple things right here in this chapter 9. Is it chapter 9? Hold up, chapter 12. All right. Digging on the 9 commandments and the Los Lunas Decalogue Stone. So why are they calling it the 9 commandments, man? And what's Daniel Lowe getting at? That's connecting to what we're getting at. You know what I mean? Historically, we've been taught of the 10 commandments, and almost every work pertaining to the subject reference is always made to 10 commandments. But do we really have anything from a credible source that says specifically how many commandments were given on the 2 tablets? Very interesting, right? Even 3 times, or only 3 times in the King James, does it say specifically 10 commandments. Although there are hundreds of commandments, we will only focus on the supposed 10. And looking at the accepted version of the 10 commandments, right? We just got this. Exodus 20 got us in code. All right, so, these are your typical 10 commandments, right? I'm Hawa that brought you out of Egypt. You shall have no gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto you any graven image or any likeness of anything in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath. Thou shalt not bow down themselves to them nor serve them. I, Hawa, am a jealous power. Your power is a jealous power. Your power don't like to be pushed to the back burner. Your power don't like to be adulterated on, mixed with something else. Oh, Jesus is God. No. Wow, right? Wow. That's what the Christians say. JC is God. So now they're looking for JC and not the Creator. Visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandment. And thou shalt not make or take the name of Hawa in vain, for Hawa will not hold him guiltless that take his name in vain. Remember the Shabbat day. Oh yeah, we have a whole conspiracy over this 108 radish to keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Shabbat of Hawa, your power. In it thou shalt do no work, thou, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor cattle, nor stranger that's in your gates. 6 days you labor, 6 days Hawa made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day, wherefore Hawa Baruch the Shabbat and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days be long upon the land which Hawa gave you. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife. Back to adultery, right? Nor his manservant, maidservant, his ox, his donkey, his car, his monies, nothing, right? So whatever your bro got, be happy for him. Don't be covetous. This leads to discord. Buried and suppressed hatred comes out of this, right? This is what Hawa's telling us, to check our frequency at the gate. Let's go. Seems pretty cut and dry, does it? Now in the Catholic Bible, they have simply removed the 2nd commandment for reasons very obvious, of which is part of the 1st. So he's saying that the Catholic Bible, because they know that the 1st and the 2nd commandment are the same transgression. So if the first commandment is no gods before me, and the second is don't make no graven images, no likeness, anything above or below, don't bow down to them, don't serve them, that's no gods before me, right? That's not a separate commandment. Who is doing this? This is Christianity that's giving us this specific way, but the Catholics do it a different way. We just don't question it. We just don't know it. They don't say this is a separate commandment. They say it's the same commandment. So how do they get to 10? You got your separate transgressions. Don't kill, no adultery, don't steal. Those are clearly separate transgressions, separate sins, right? So no gods before me and not bowing down to anybody else or any serving any other power. I'm a jealous power. This is all no gods before me. This is all the same. So we're not removing anything. We're just saying this is all the same transgression. Just like you went in on the Shabbat, all this is about the Shabbat, right? They didn't break it up and say, all right, keep the Shabbat and then, also rest on the seventh day. It's all the same. So again, no gods before me, no graven images, don't bow down to them, don't serve them. All this same transgression. So all this will be one. Why did they have to get you out your nine? Nine is very important, even when we're looking at the key, the chi, right? So they slapping, their, pressure points and their key buttons, you know what I'm saying? 9 times. 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 9. And the spiral, why psychologically get you out of your 9? Why create the 10, especially when the Catholic Bible, have simply removed the second commandment for reasons very obvious, of which is part of the first, and divided the 10th commandment to keep the appearance of the traditional 10. Did you know that? So they divided the last commandment into 2 to get to 10 by appearance. But let's look at it from another perspective, which does not take away from the content or meaning. Let's look at this from the perspective of sin. What is the sin associated with the commandment? So number 1, the sin is worship of another God other than the God, the Most High. Number 2, the sin is the same as number 1, be it a false God, wrong God, or one made with your hands, is the same and therefore constitutes one commandment given in 3 parts. Then the supposed third commandment, take the Lord's name in vain, not cursing, but using the Lord's name to get by, by using the Lord's name to get gain. Or Hawa said to jump off this cliff. Did Hawa say that? Or you putting vanity on Hawa's name? Oh, well, Hawa is going to do this. Hawa is going to do that. Like, are you sure? Or are you putting vanity on the Creator's name? Let's go. Don't bear no false witness on Hawa, especially using his name in vain to bear false witness. Now you just doubling up on the transgression. And then you got number 4, not remembering the Shabbat. Number 5, not glorifying your father and mother above. Now he said above, because he's going to get on them Los Lunas Decalogue stone. What does it say in New Mexico? What does it say in the Paleo Hebrew that's in New Mexico? Not the King James version of this and that. What's in the Paleo, written in stone in New Mexico on the so-called Los Lunas Decalogue stone? Let's go. Number 6, shedding of innocent blood, right? We got Hawa hates that. Adultery, giving your love to another who has no right to it. It has nothing to do with sex. Uh-oh. Sure, I mean, the sexual act in itself can be, rightfully put under the banner of adultery, but giving your love to another with no right to it, whoa, now we're back to that harlotry. So while just talking about somebody, or we back to put no power before me? We're going to get back on this adultery. I mean, this is what we're doing. So, stealing, taking what doesn't belong to you, bearing false witness of which you were no witness of, no witness, but you wish you were, so you can bring somebody down, so you can cause some rumor, so you can cause someone to look down on your brother or sister, or, become an enemy of them. People want other people to side with them, so they start bearing all this false witness just to hope that they get people on their team, on their side, because they're so insecure, right? They're so covetous. All this, blends together. You know what I'm saying? This is Hawaii's code. This is how you build a community. Like I said, none of us are perfect. We don't have this perfected. But if we meditate on the law, if we meditate on the code, Managa, perhaps you get your stuff back. You get your things back. And more importantly, you get your direct flow, your connection with our Creator back. And you better not ever lose it again. You better not ever let it go again. This is your chance. This is your redemption. We're talking about the code. We talk keeping the code all day. So let's go in on it. All right, covetous, that which does not belong to you, which is given in two parts. Talking about the Catholic Bible. So number 1 and 2 are the same commandment. Having no other God before him, Shalak, includes every form of God out there, whether false, graven image, or the wrong God. I have heard some argue that there are 2 separate commandments because each start with thou shalt not. And if this is the case, are we saying verse 5 above is a new and separate commandment? Are we saying those which do not have thou shalt not preceding them are not commandments? It is suspect to me that the first commandment is a creation of man long ago, as the second covers the same, and the purpose of this creation was to eventually eliminate the second part to justify themselves and leaving the first in its place. I mean, that's deep. The purpose of this was eventually to eliminate the second part, to justify themselves and leave the first part in its place. So I don't know what school you went to, but I was taught that JC is God, right? I mean, do the Hebrews, that are calling on Yahweh Shai, do y'all think that JC is God too? Hey, rest in power, Raptor News. We're going to keep our foot on the neck bone of Hijack City. Part of the Godhead, right? Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. The Son, the Son, the Son. And that our Father put him before himself of his own doing as a Savior to the world, who agreed to give the glory to his Father, and that we do, be it by prayer, ordinances, covenants. Yeah, we were taught to pray in the name of this Savior. But Hawaii says in Isaiah 43, only I am your Savior. Beside me, there ain't no other power. No, JC, Yahweh Shai, Baruch, in the name of Hashem, You know, Hashem, uh, all this, man, man, all in the name of Yahweh Shai, right? Bar Hashem, in the name, always giving the name to the Son, right? The Godhead. By prayer, ordinances, covenants, making covenants over and over with this Son, right? Done in the name of Yahweh Shai, right? If this isn't putting a power before your power, man, the Father, I don't know what is. So is our Father a hypocrite, or is it more likely that someone didn't think this through? If the first commandment as we know it were from our power, then what gods was he referring to? We know there are other gods out there who have their own creations, but we have never been taught of them other than their existence or come to know any of them in any way whatsoever. If you made the choice to worship one of these gods you know nothing about, do you think they would in any way acknowledge you being a true God? So if our God is the creator of this so-called first commandment, what would he have meant? The only gods left are false gods, creations of our minds, and usually manifest by those who create them in the form of statutes or statues, idols, and the creations of their hands, and is not covered in what we know as the second commandment. Is this not covered in what we know as the second commandment? The first commandment is pointless unless you needed a scapegoat. What we know as the first commandment is a fabrication of man in ancient times. It is not needed and does not change the fact that we should have no other false god before him, or what we know as the Trinity, right? The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Where's your mama? Nope. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. There are only 9 commandments. And why have I brought this up? The reason is to give credibility to the lost lunar stone in the following section, in that it does not have mistakes as so many supposed experts and students of Hebrew have said. It is them who is in error and mistaken, not the scribe of the stone, and I intend to show you this. This is true, which hopefully in the end we will have just one more evidence of ancient Hebrew in the western regions, and to know that someone in the past knew what the scholars of today do not. And there is another reason, which is short to come, the Purko River glyph, right? Then we get into this Los Lunas stone, this paleo carved on a big old boulder in New Mexico. And just jump into this 5th commandment here, or what they would call the 5th commandment. Let's get it right here. Only one need take a closer look, or take a close look to see that whoever the scribe was, he had knowledge that the supposed experts of today do not have. For this reason, I'm going to talk about the commandment number 5, supposed commandment number 5. Thou shalt honor thy father and mother. In a video that my good friend Alan sent me concerning the lost lunar stone, a student of Hebrew points out a few mistakes according to him, but never really expounds upon what actually the mistake is for the 5th commandment. When he is asked what it actually says, he struggles trying to tell us what it should say until the host of the video asked him specifically what it actually says. With this, the student of Hebrew again shrugs and says, it says, honor your father and mother above. Manaka, this is what it says in the Los Lunas, Decalogue stone. Proverbs chapter 4, in speaking of wisdom, your mama, wisdom, the Christians call her wisdom, right? Mama, Ama, says extol her. So we're just connecting this, we're just connecting the code. This is not adding anything. This is your mama who's always there, who's always been there. Proverbs 8 popped off first with our shaper, our vibration, our frequency, our father, and together created everything. This is the we in the plural you keep getting in Genesis, connecting with us, right? The honor you're giving your Ama and your Abba. Let's dig on this quickly. This Proverbs chapter 4. I love doing script study with you, my Nagas, because, man, we get so much clarity. All praise our creator, our Ama Abba, our framer, our shaper, our mother, our father. Hear the instructions of a father, tend to know understanding. Well, who's understanding? Right? Let's just jump quickly to Proverbs 8. We're going to get this thoroughly, but does not wisdom call and understanding put forth her voice? Understanding is a woman, is a female, right? Who's understanding? This is mama talking. Mama has a voice. Her voice. Receive my instruction. So you have your father's instruction. Mama in her voice is telling you to receive her instruction. Knowledge rather than choice gold. Because when it comes to mama's voice, there is nothing perverse or crooked in it. Mama's mouth is righteousness, my nigga. So mama can't speak out of code. Mama can't be out of righteousness. Mama is married to Abba in righteousness. Oh yeah, Abba needed mama from the very beginning, right? Yeah, allow why. Counsel is mine. Sound wisdom. Yeah, we talking wisdom. I am understanding. Who's understanding? Power is mine. Whoa. So this can't be another deity, another power outside of our power. Because power is mama's. Which is why Solomon's praying for mama in Proverbs chapter 4. Because by me kings reign. You can't reign as a king without mama. You don't got no power, you ain't got no wisdom, and you ain't got no counsel. You can't be no Nestorian. Kings reign by me. Princes rule by me. Nobles, even all the judges of the earth, are only here by me. I love them that love me, and those that seek me shall find me. See, Christians took her out the equation. We're not adding nothing new. If mama's new to you, then you got no understanding, you got no power, and you got no knowledge. Yeah. Mama has a voice. You want that X marks the spot when paths meet? That's where she stands. Beside the gate, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the door. Whoa. I've never really noticed this before. This is why we get it like it's the first time, right? Because remember last time in the digging on the remnant, we were talking about the Ebrew root, them G's and C's being interchangeable. How you walk. I mean, you follow this Aleph bet, man. You follow this picto, you got a story on story on stories. You got layers on layers on layers. You can't take these symbols for granted. This is your Hebrew magic, Manani. This lets you know the formula, the format, the strong power, the leader going into the house, causing you to tribe up and to gather and to walk. Now you move through that door, that doll. Who greets you? They say man with arms raised. Nah, my nigga, that's your mama. Then you get that security from your father. But unless you understand it, that without mama, you ain't got no knowledge, no understanding, no nothing. Mama just said she gonna greet you through the door. Coming in at the door, she cries aloud. Whoa. When you come through that door, mama's there for that revelation, that look, that breath. Hey, A-H, breath, my naga. You breathe in, you inhale, that is feminine. You exhale, that is masculine. Why is the name of the creator? Because you put it together. Your father ain't by him, by himself without that breath, Your father ain't by himself without that understanding. Nah, mama is understanding, is power. Your father's not without this power. Nah. I walk in the way of righteousness and the path of justice. This is why the judges are flowing through Ramah, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance. You don't get substance without her. This is why Solomon's praying for her. He wants more mama. He's saying, Pops, please grant me more of that which is most sacred to you. Big mama. I need big mama. I need that inheritance. I need that substance, that I may fill their treasures. I need that treasure. Hawa, the Father made me as the beginning of his way. So nothing popped off without Big Mama. She is the beginning. So how do you get Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Trinity without talking mama? How do you get mama at the right hand or JC at the right hand when mama's the beginning of his way? If mama's the beginning of his way, then where does she go? Are you thoughtless? Hey, we're just talking adultery, right? Because, once you replace mama with something else, Once you replace mama or Abba with something else, now you're playing that harlot, right? Now you're calling another mama. Now you're baking raisin cakes to the Queen Mother of Heaven, right? You baking raisin cakes to the Isises and the Ishtars, right? The Astartes, all of these fallen female energies, right? You forgot about Mama. You forgot about Big Mama, who is the beginning of his way, the first of his works of old, my nigga. What we don't understand, we don't understand. We don't understand the first of Hawa's works of old. We're thinking that the creation of the earth and all this is the first of his works, right? We don't know what this means. Did he physically create Mama, or did he allow Mama through the shaping, to, uh, frame, you know what I'm saying? Are we lost in translation with his first works of old? But what we do know is Mama was set up from everlasting, man, from the beginning. So everything that popped off in creation popped off with Ama. Nothing popped off that you can ever conceive that didn't involve Big Mama. She is set up from everlasting. They try to make this JC now. Oh, he was always there. He is the Ruach. Yeah, he was there from Genesis. We've heard it all. Wow. What about your mama? Your mama is the beginning. Or wherever the earth was, before the earth was popping off, Big Mama was already set up from everlasting. Who knows how many worlds Big Mama popped off with big, big, big pops. You know what I'm saying? Big Mama and Big Pops been popping off in the beginning together. You're not adding nothing new. It's already there from everlasting. They've taken it away from you. So this is why you're getting the plurals in Genesis. You're talking the frame and shaper. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he set a circle upon the face of the deep. Yeah. Before the mountains were settled. When there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the water was Mama. Mama was there. I was by him as a nursling. I was daily all delight. Playing before him. This is a marriage. Your pops had to pop off with Big Mama first, my nigga. And with that connection, everything is created. You know what I mean? You honor your father and mother above. What does it say in Proverbs chapter 4? Hear the instructions of a father, attend to no understanding. Mama just said, I am understanding. Yeah. Oh, you thoughtless, man. Hey, don't be thoughtless, my nigga. Mama greeted you coming through the door. I am understanding. Power is mine. Mama greeted you coming through the door with that breath. Right when you came through the door. Beside the gate at the entry of the city. At the coming in at the door, she cried aloud. She's yelling at you right when you walk through the door. My noggin is right here in paleo. I can't make this up. That's your breath. With that breath, you have security. And with security, you have your breath. And this is why Solomon is praying to our security for more revelation, right? For more breath. The beginning of wisdom is, hey, get wisdom. Get mama, man. Just pop off right there. And with all that, get understanding, because mama is understanding. Forsake her not, and she will preserve you. Is Solomon asking for some other deity before the creator? No. Solomon is wise enough to know he's referring to his breath, his very own ruach, his mama. That is the beginning. The beginning of wisdom is to pop off with mama. You dig? Keep the code. Yet with all you're getting, get understanding. Extol her, and she will exalt you. And we said, well, okay, we walked through the door, we got mama. What does it mean to extol? Praise enthusiastically, man. Praise. What does halal mean? To praise. Whoa. So you're supposed to praise mama? Is that praising a foreign deity, a foreign entity? Is that breaking the code? Is that breaking rule number one? Or are we supposed to praise our framer and our shaper? To extol her, she will exalt you. She will bring you to honor when you do and praise her. She will give to you, to your head, a chaplet of grace, a crown of glory she will bestow upon you. Solomon's getting that glory. Why is Solomon asking to be brought to honor by Ahab? Why is he asking to be embraced by her? Why does he need a chaplet of grace from her? Does he want to be embraced by an idol? Is mama an idol? Or did mama create you? Mama created the earth. She didn't create you. Mama popped off the earth with Hawa. She was right there the whole time. You think she was doing nothing? Is you thoughtless? She will give you a head of grace, chaplet of grace, crown of glory. We're talking about raising up kings. Why does mama raise up these kings? Give this crown, these queens. Extol her by not. Extol is to praise. Your breath and security. Hawa. Bang. This is our creator, our framer, our shaper, our connection. This is not a foreign deity. Oh no. Because mama was made as the beginning of his way. It can't be foreign if she's the beginning. Can't be foreign if she's from everlasting, from the beginning, his first of his works of old. Now therefore, children of Israel, listen to me. You think our father, will be allowing her to pop off, telling us to listen to her in the script in Proverbs 8? If listening to her was not the same as listening to him, because she has the code for happy are they that keep my ways. You think your father, Abba, will be allowing her to call his ways her ways if they weren't the same ways? If this wasn't a marriage, a union, a house, you have a house, a father, a mother. Where do you get that? Where do you get the format so you can duplicate and have a house with a father and a mother? Are not the ways of the father when you are in unity the same as the ways of the mother? These are her ways. Keep my ways. The code is her ways. Hear instruction. Be wise. Refuse it not. Happy is the man that listens to me, watching daily at my gates. Because you want that breath. She's by the door giving you breath. Waiting at the post of my doors, my noggin. You think a wise telling you to wait at the post of a hijacked fallen idol's doors? Or are we popping off with Big Mama, the first of his ways of old? Watching daily. We should be meditating on Mama. Extolling her, right? Praising her, right? You think Hawa doesn't want you to give praise to your mama? We getting back to honor your father and mother above, and we getting back to adultery. Because once you replace Big Mama, and once you replace Pops, and you put JC over there, or you put some other uh, female deity, over here, man, you are a harlot. You are an adulteress. You are an idolater. You ignore Mama. You just call her what they call her out there. Oh, my earthly mother. Does it sound like your earthly mother? Or does it sound like your mama? Your breath is not relegated just to the earth. Mama's not relegated just to the earth. This is your mama, man. This is your breath. Allah Hawa. For whoever finds me finds life. That's why we extol in her, as it says. Because they must be thoughtless. Extol her, Proverbs 4, verse 8, Shalah. So extol her and she will exalt you. She will bring you to honor, as Solomon talking about, man. Some idol? Embrace her. Praise enthusiastically. Because she has her ways, right? When you find her ways, you listen, you keep my ways, Mama's talking. Yeah, Mama's talking, right? Does not wisdom call and understanding put forth her voice? She stands where the paths meet, my naga. She cries aloud. She gives you that breath. Obtain favor. Whoever finds me finds life, obtains favor of the shaper. So now you can be, real specific here. Since we know we're talking H1961, we talk lower back to Hawa. You find life. You obtain favor when you find Mama. But he that misses me wrongs his soul. So you want to miss Mama? Mama's out. It's just Father, Father, Father to you. You don't see your creator. Mama's not a part of that. You miss me, you wrong your own soul. And they that hate me love death. My nigga, I can't make this up. We ain't bringing you nothing new. We bring you something that is very much the essence of everything you know, everything you see. It is understanding. She is understanding. And these are her ways that you keep in. Talking Big Mama. Wipe your feet at the door when you walk in Big Mama's house. Because if you ain't listening to her, you ain't listening to him. If you ain't listening to him, you ain't listening to her. You ain't extolling. So you can't be exalted. You're not getting understanding. Mama is understanding. You're not loving her so she can keep you. You are forsaking her. And how can she preserve you? How can you be preserved? Attend my words, incline ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from your eyes. Keep them in the midst of your heart, for they are life. Mama is life. Unto those that find them, health to all their flesh. Above all that you guard, keep your heart. Keep that heart bone, my noggin. Don't fall for these other mamas and these other daddies. Don't be no adulterer. Don't be no harlot. For out of it are the issues of life. The heart bone. Mama's in your heart, right? She's in your inward parts. Solomon's praying that she's in his inward parts. And perverse lips put far from thee. Let your eyes look right on. Don't have no haughty eyes. And let your eyelids look straight before you. Make plain the path of your feet, and let all your ways be established. So you have to have breath and security to be established. Turn not to the right or to the left. Remove your foot from evil. Honor your father and your mother above. Extol her. Praise enthusiastically. Wow. Above, my noggin. So what does it say, student of Hebrew? This Decalogue stone, Los Lunas, New Mexico. It says, honor your father and mother above, my noggin. You might have some real disrespectful, some real perverse parents. Do they deserve honor or death? Depending, right? It's case by case, depending on what they're doing, right? So, but your mother, your father above always deserves honor. And this is why it's the true, commandment, fifth commandment, so called, right? So, ka. So that's just a little about why we, what we're talking about when we talk about the 9 code. Is that they've split it up. The Catholics split up the last one, and the Christians split up the first one. And they got you out your 9 frequency. Yeah, they took you away from your spiral. Not glorifying your father and mother above. Extol her. We're talking our breath and our security, and it gets no realer than this and connects no clearer than this, man, when it comes to our 9 codes. So, this is our 9 code series, for the code keepers. And for the dismount, let's go more into the definitions and, a few scripts that are using adultery in mainly one or two ways, either to describe a marital situation, husband and wife directly, which obviously is a big deal, taking someone's wife or, crossing that line, or husband, vice versa and all that. Obviously, back then, Nagas had multiple wives, concubines, and all that. So when you put it in that perspective, was it, just being outside of your house? You might have, let's say you had 9 wives, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, all that would be within your union, within your purity. That was the ways of old, right? The ancient ways. Hawa wasn't beefing with us about how many wives we had. You know, that became more Christianity and brainwashing to really decrease our houses. So that we weren't having as many children and our kingdom wasn't growing, and we weren't able to work together economically speaking. There's all kind of benefits, to growing a house. You know what I'm saying? As a house, and this is what they did back in the day. Um, for me, I enjoy having one wife, Ahab the chef candy. But I'm just saying, this is, their ways of, really bringing this into a perspective of, what is adultery, you know what I mean? And it seems to be more at that time connected with taking, someone else's wife or that wife of that other house, being outside of that union, that type of thing. Um, you know, or yeah, some harlot, taking the husband, that was outside of the marriage. She wasn't married and wasn't no concubine or nothing official that would be a part of the house. You know what I'm saying? So, it goes all these different ways, both ways. But even clearer, it connects to, you know, taking another power before your power. Mixing a frequency of purity, specifically with you and the Creator, with something impure, especially something inferior, like these fallen gods. Now, we got Proverbs 6. I'm just looking at this link. This is a Christian link. So, they talk about JC a lot, I think, in this link. Yeah. We're going to, just for fun, look at how they approach the code over here in Mark and Luke. But, let's just get this first part here. We're just talking adultery. Wow. Been talking for a minute on y'all, but we get into it right here. The word adultery is etymologically related to the word adulterate. So we're going to dig on that too. Adulterate, all right, which means to render something poor in quality by adding another substance. Now stop. So we dug on adultery the classic way, the marriage way. Let's just dig on it as a definition and see if it gives us more clarity as to what Hawa's talking about when he's, calling us the harlot, right? Going after these other powers, this is why it connects right back to code number 1 of the 9 code. No other power before me. To render something poor in quality by adding another substance. So yeah, you could look at it like a marriage situation. You got some, something on the side that is not the quality of your wife, right? Or vice versa. You're adding another substance, whether it's a person or however you want to look at substance, you know what I mean? But even in a greater sense, mixing and bringing something that is poor in quality connects directly to these fallen false idols that are no gods, that are no powers. And you mix that in with, you know, with something that's pure water. You render something poor in quality by adding another substance. So it's now poor in quality because of what you added. So it's really the adding of this other substance that has made what you had now poor in quality. Wow. We're just talking adultery. We're just talking adultery. So in the 9 code, rule number 1, no power before me. no images, don't bow down. Rule number 2, no vanity. Rule number 3, keep your Shabbat. Rule number 4, honor your father and mother above. Rule number 5, no murder. Rule number 6, no adultery. Rule number 7, don't steal. Rule number 8, no false witness. And rule number 9, get that covetous out your heart, bro. No covet. So this will be rule number 6 in the 9 code that we are actually starting with. But wow, does it connect to so much of this other stuff, right? You don't steal nobody's wife. You don't cause murder because of this atrocity. You know what I'm saying? This discord with this adultery leads to murder. We just got that in Proverbs chapter 6. I mean, you definitely are honoring your frame and your shaper above. Yeah, I mean, hey, you ain't keeping Shabbat, especially if you're outside of your house on that day, doing what you shouldn't be doing. Yeah, man, but really, you're taking your marriage in vain. You're taking your oath in vain. You're taking Hawa in vain. And in many cases with adultery, you're putting this other substance and you're rendering something in a poor quality because you're bringing these other gods in. And the mixing with other tribes or other nations had a lot less to do with, oh, they have this phenotype, you got this phenotype, don't mix, or else you become of poorer quality. Genetically, you could look at that, you know what I'm saying? You could look at the genetics, but mainly it was the idolatry, it was the abomination of these idols that was coming in with these unions, with these out of code tribes, It was the mixing, it made us a poor quality spiritually speaking, more than our physical genetics, Hawa could always restore our physical genetics, We could turn somebody blonde hair, blue eye into us eventually after a few generations of mixing, back into the tree. So Hawa is not freaking out about your genetics, but your spirit mixing in with these other gods, Hawa can't do nothing for you after that. You're making deals with the devil, right? You making oaths with other powers. There ain't nothing left for you but destruction, man. All right, so let's keep going. To render something poor in quality by adding another substance. Adultery is the adulteration of marriage by the addition of a third person. And now they're putting their conjecture on making it specifically about marriage and a third person and yada, yada, yada. Okay. Oh, Adam and Eve, the Bible teaches on marriage with the pattern of Adam and Eve, one woman, one man. All right, I'm with that. But Hawa wasn't banging on nobody for having, Solomon had 700 wives or something like that. David had 300 some wives and concubines. As long as they weren't bringing no other power, no other abomination of no other false gods and idols, there was no spectacle Hawa was causing around this. So this has to let you know the weight wasn't on, uh, you know, how many wives you had, which is what they want to make this about. The weight was on this other substance that rendered what Hawa gave you as pure into something poor in quality because of the addition of this substance. The power that we, wanted other than Hawa rendered our quality as a nation poor, man. This is true adultery right here. This mixing into something that the substance that made us no more of a good quality. Now, there's something interesting, dealing with this abomination, this new test, this adultery. Let's dig on this one, man. Mark 10, man. Hey, dodge your own hijack. I just want to bring out something on this adultery situation. So they go into anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery against her. I mean, wow. And if she divorces her husband and marries another man, she commits adultery. Does this have anything to do with the quality, or simply that, you should have one wife and never ever marry anybody else? You know what I'm saying? Is that in the Tanakh? You know what I'm saying? Is that where, you know, is that the essence of this code right here? This is what they want to make it as. Whoever shall put away his wife and marry another commits adultery. So you got to keep your wife. And if a woman shall put away her husband, be married to another, she commits adultery. Okay. We're going to come back to this Mark chapter 10 because I want to tie it into, these codes that they keep over there in that new test. I can only come in and I can only jump in for a second, come right back. I can't even take too much. JC says, hey man, anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery in his heart bone. All right. Okay. Let's go. We'll come back to that adultery over there in that New Testament. Definition 1828, violation of the marriage bed, a crime, a civil injury which introduces or may introduce into a family a spurious offspring. By the laws of Connecticut, the sexual intercourse of any man with a married woman is the crime of adultery. But both such intercourse of a married man with an unmarried woman is fornication, and both an adultery of the man. Within the meaning of the law respecting divorce, but not a felonious adultery in either, or the crime of adultery at common law or by statute. This latter offense is in England proceeded with only in the ecclesiastical courts. So this is their, bouncing around trying to make this their thing, right? They're creating their conjecture, around what adultery is. Lustfully looking at a woman is adultery. Uh, divorcing your wife and marrying another is adultery. But what's truly adultery, right? This is what we're getting to. In common usage, right? What's common? Unfaithfulness of any married person to a marriage bed. That's the common definition. In the scriptural sense, okay, where we're getting closer, all manner of lewdness or unchastity, as in the seventh commandment. Well, we got that this is the sixth commandment, but we see what they're saying. But in the scriptural sense, it's any manner of lewdness or unchastity. In scripture, idolatry or apostasy from the true power. Whoa, Jeremiah 3. It's a big word right here, apostasy. Apostasy. Oh yeah. Just looking at the lexicon, and in the Hebrew, they're coming off from this Strong's H5000 or 003, 5003. Na'af, right? So adultery, they're getting from the primitive Hebrew root na'af, right? Usually of a man, always with wife of another. So it was really digging on taking someone's wife or idolatrous worship. And this is why it's interchangeable in Hosea 3 from this idolater, harlot, or you're talking about this adulterous woman or adulterous man who's fallen for these idols or for this adulterous woman. To commit adultery, used both of male and female. To commit adultery with a woman, Proverbs 6, we just got that. Leviticus 20, Jeremiah 29. In the same matter as to commit fornication, it is applied to the turning aside of Israel from the true God to worship of idols. Being rebellious, Israel commits adultery, followed by an ACC, some acronym, Jeremiah 3. I want to get that. And she commits adultery with stone and wood, right? Going after gods of wood and stone on the cross, right? Walking around that stone, right? Okay. We just got that word apostasy. This is apostatize. What does it mean to apostatize? What do they mean? Renounce a religious or political belief or principle. So when you renounce Hawa, you renounce the code, you are apostatizing. Man, I don't know why this reminds me of them apostles. Oh boy. We're just connecting a few things, man, when it comes to this adultery. And what they say over here, apostatize, right? Apostasy from the true power. Apostasy, renouncing a religious or political belief or principle. So you are renouncing Hawa. You're renouncing the code in your apostasy, your idolatry. In old laws, the fine and penalty imposed for the offense of adultery. In ecclesiastical affairs, the intrusion of a person into bishopric during the life of a bishop. This intrusion, back to that substance we was talking about, right? To render something poorer in quality by adding another substance. And now we're talking about an intrusion of a person, right? Among ancient naturalists, the grafting of trees was called adultery, being considered as an unnatural union. You graft with these other gods, grafting, the mixing, making it something that is of a poor quality by adding another substance. So you see this grafting, this mixing, with this other substance, making something of poorer quality. Love to drag it. Child, my naga, I mean, we're getting to the root of it all, we're talking about the mixing of these trees, the grafting of Israel, you know what I'm saying, with these other powers. This was the issue of mixing with other nations. It was the unnatural union that was bringing about a poor quality in your spirit and your ruach. Why? Because of their phenotypes or because of the idolatry? And that led for you to apostolize, to be, you know, oh yeah, renouncing your beliefs because these idols and these other mixing, you know, these other people that we're mixing with, they didn't share our beliefs or our principles, Managa. They were indifferent. They had their own thing. So to get down with them, we end up renouncing Hawa. We renounce our code, and that is the issue with adultery, apostasy. Talking Jeremiah 3, let's get it. If a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's, may he return unto her again? What's Hawa talking about? If a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, may he return unto her again? Will not that land be greatly polluted? Whoa. But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. Uh-oh, we're back to that like Hosea 3, right? Idol worship compared to this marital situation of this greatly polluted land. Greatly polluted, why? Because it's been rendered something poor in quality by adding another substance. Will not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. And would you yet return to me? You're not of the same quality, says Hawa. Lift up your eyes into the high hills and see where hast thou not been lain with, man. You lay with all these guys, Israel. By the ways hast thou sat for them as an Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast polluted the land with harlotries and with wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withheld, and there have been no later rain. Yet thou hast a harlot's forehead, thou refuse to be ashamed. You too haughty, you got haughty eyes. Did thou not just now cry unto me, my father, thou art the friend of my youth? Will he bear grudge forever? Will he keep it to the end? Behold, thou hast spoken, but hast done evil things. Thou hast spoken, but hast done evil, and hast had your way. And the wall said unto me in the days of Josiah, the king, hast thou seen that which backsliding Israel did? What happens when you backslide? You renounce a religious or political belief or principle. You are renouncing your ways. Apostasy, apostatize, to abandon one's profession or church or code, to forsake principles. You forsook your code, your oath, your faith, which you have professed. Right after we got out of Egypt, we professed to keep the code. Our ancestors did. That blood is on us, my nigga. It is an oath we made with Hawa that we professed, or the party to which one has been attached. You were attached, you were married to the Creator, or your wife or husband, right? You're forsaking your oath. You're apostatizing. You're abandoning your ways. Apostatize, abandon one's faith, principles, church. Your code, 19 or 1610s, Latin apostasar, sorry. Earlier apostatar, apostata, one who forsakes his religion or faith. They say, see apostate. Okay. One who forsakes his religion or faith, apostata. From apostanai, to defect, literally to stand off, away from, to set, place, literally cause to stand, used from mid-14th century in non-religious situations, one who has forsaken the party opinion to which he previously adhered. Yeah, man. Just remind me of these apostles over there in that New Testament, man. Unfaithful to a religious creed or to a principle. Uh-oh. So, talking about adultery, it leads us to apostasy, right? Abandoning your power. True adultery is abandoning your power, abandoning your oath, mixing with these foreign powers, weakening, giving you a poorer quality by adding another substance. Now you're poor in quality, just like your marriage would be, right? Backsliding Israel. You're going back on your word, your oath. She went up upon every high mountain and under every leafy tree, and there played the harlot, Israel. And I said, after she had done all these things, she will return unto me. But she returned not. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it. So we're talking northern, southern tribes. And I saw it when, for as much as backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. And yet treacherous Judah, her sister, feared not, and she also went and played the harlot. And it came to pass through the lightness of her idolatry that the land was polluted, mixing with that other substance, right? Them other powers that are no powers at all. And she committed adultery with stones and with stocks. And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Judah has returned not unto me with her whole heart. Didn't mama say guard your heart bone? Because that's where your life is. But vainly said Hawa. Even Hawa said unto me, backsliding Israel has proved herself more righteous than treacherous Judah. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return thou backsliding Israel. Saith Hawa, I will not frown upon you, for I am merciful. Hawa still forgiven us. Ama Abba are still merciful. I will not bear grudge forever. There will be a remnant. Only acknowledge your iniquity. Understand you've been a harlot. that you have transgressed against Hawa, your power, and has scattered your ways to the strangers. This is adultery. Under every leafy tree, and yet not hearken to my voice, says Hawa. Return, O backsliding children. Abba is begging for their children to return. For I am a power unto you, and I will take you one out of a city, two out of a family. I will bring you to Zion, and I will give you shepherds according to my heart, who shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. That's mama. That's mama you getting. Backsliding children. Backsliding Israel. Oh yeah, we're just talking about apostate. One who forsakes his religion or faith. Forsake your power. We're just talking about apostatize, abandoning your profession. Hey, Spartans, what is your profession? Yeah, man. Israelites, Judah, Israel, Hasharah, what is your profession? To keep the code. Don't forsake your code, and don't forsake your principles, your faith that you have professed to Hawa. You are attached to the Creator. That's why the Gentiles jealous of us. But it's also why we've been getting smothered right now, because we forgot our attachment. We forgot what we profess. We forgot our principles. They think they can replace us because of that, but Hawa's still begging for us to return. Say, hey, it's all good. I'm not going to frown on you. I'll be merciful. I won't bear this grudge forever. Just acknowledge what you've done, man. How you've transgressed out of code. Let's get it. Now, I'm just looking up adulterated. Get my copper water for this dismount. Greatest dismount of all time. We're just talking adultery. I didn't know it'd get this good to us, man. But we've been surfing the wave talking adultery. You know. Now this is how they're using adultery. We're getting meanings and definitions so we can get truly to the root. So we can get to the truth. And this is a whole article on dog joint supplements. And I'm just seeing how they're using these words like adulterated, right? Adultery. All right, so in many cases, with the global economy in which we live in today, I personally put more emphasis on the source and origin of the ingredients than just quality alone. That said, in no way am I saying that all ingredients that come from China are bad or poor ingredients. In many cases, they are not. Yet, my biggest concern comes down to regulations, concept of adulterated ingredients, right? So they're using adultery, talking about these ingredients with this, dog supplements. I At a recent meeting of the National Animal Supplement Council, there was an entire lecture detailing this very real problem of adulterated ingredients. Let me explain. Adulterated by definition means to render something poorer in quality by adding another substance, typically an inferior one. By adding something inferior. So what this means is that there are companies whose practices are to lie and cheat, like adultery, right? These companies work very hard at trying to fool the testing process to believe that their ingredients are something that they are not. The number one ingredient today, which is adulterated, is Chondroitin sulfate. Chondroitin sulfate, a common ingredient used in joint health supplements. So they're going to go into how this supplement is adulterated. So with adultery comes lies. What do I say about these lying lips? False witnesses, right? Cheating. But they're just talking about dog supplements, man. But this is how they're using it. And back to that same definition of rendering something poor in quality by adding another substance. And typically an inferior one. When it comes to other powers, it's always an inferior one. You know what I mean? It's case by case, I guess, in a marriage situation. I don't, but when it comes to the Creator, we know there ain't no, it's Most High over everything, MHOE. So it's all inferior after that. It's all inferior after that. But let's keep going with some definitions. You got all these links, pull them up, my niggas. Pull them up, my niggas. We just surfing the wave, right? Similar again, to render something poor in quality by adding another substance, typically an inferior one. Synonyms are degrade or spoil, taint or contaminate. Contaminate. So back in Jeremiah 3, who's I say at the top, and thou hast polluted the land. I mean, you put away your wife, she go to another man. Can she return after she's been polluted and contaminated? But this is what we do when we play the harlot with many other gods, many other lovers. This is Atlantis. All them Atlantean gods, all these holidays, all the situation, we're still doing it to this day. You can tell people that they're worshiping another power with this Christmas or this Halloween and all this. They'll still go trick-or-treating with the kid. I don't want to take the fun away from young Timmy. So you agree to play the harlot. How can you return? You've been contaminated. You are polluted. You are the land. You polluted yourself. Degrade, spoil, taint, contaminate. We're just digging on adultery, right? So whether we're talking about the violation in the marriage bed, contaminating that, contaminating your oath with your wife or husband, or we're talking about specifically idolatry, corrupting yourself, renouncing your oath, abandoning your oath, corrupt, or to alter, right? You've altered something. You got an excellent new tune. They call the New Testament and the selling of Joseph. Let us find the truth, my naga, man. For real, I mean, they talked about having these indigenous people and bringing them something else, right? Altering their love song to a excellent new tune, they call it. They're altering. It's syncretism 101. Syncretism, it's a mixture now. You're leavening things like the feast of unleavened bread without the yeast, right? You're leavening that bread. It's now contaminated with yeast. And you don't always want that acidity in you. You need to go alkaline once in a while without that yeast, right? So they've altered your ancient love song. Adulteration. In Middle English, also sex between husband and wife for recreational purposes. Whoa. So it's still a husband and wife, but for recreational purposes, it's adultery. Idolatry, perversion, heresy. as a crime formerly classified as single adultery with an unmarried person and double adultery with a married person. An old English word was breach of law. Then they put the parentheses for marriage. So they're adding something with parentheses, but it's the breach of the law, my naga. It's the breach of the code. So you could almost read the sixth commandment, number 6 in the 9 code, as really breaching your oath, period. Not just regarding covetous of your neighbor's wife, but breach of your oath of any of this would be adultery. When you start saying, forget it, man, I'm just going to start killing my brothers and sisters, man. You're now mixing in something impure into your frequency, man. You are an adulteress to Hawaii. You've abandoned your oath. You're apostatizing. You're forsaking your principles by killing your brother, your sister. So whatever you're violating on the code, whatever you're leavening, bringing in some mixture to, that is now making, a much poorer quality and typically an inferior one, because you're adding us inferior substance. In this case, it's murder, or, it could be sex outside of your marriage, or it could be idolatry. All those, any of those, any breaking of the code. I mean, wow, we're making a dismount to get clarity of this adultery, and this seems to be, really the clearest I've ever, saw it, man. The breach of the law. Your lawful marriage with Hawaii, your lawful marriage with, your husband, your wife, you know what I'm saying? But you're breaching your oath. Now, if you're in the old days and, you're going by the old rules, and that queen, is joining a house that already has these multiple wives, and she, it's clear understanding, you know what I mean? Then that's a lawful marriage within that, you know what I mean? You have that situation. But if you have a different understanding, you know what I'm saying, you're breaching that code, you know what I'm saying? But mainly if you're breaching the law in general, Manake, you're in breach of any of the 9 code, all that is a mixing. You're bringing something from outside of that code into that code, you know what I'm saying? It's not a part of that code. It's adultery. It's adulteration. Let's get that. They call it the 7th commandment again. The 6th commandment. It is understood to mean lewdness or unchastity of any kind in act or thought. Well, it's understood, right? So we're trying to understand it, as well. And we see that, unchaste, again, goes right back to having an unchaste heart with the Creator, the unchaste spirit, ruach with the Creator, you know what I'm saying? So if you're out of code, you ain't chaste, you know what I'm saying? Again, in Jeremiah chapter 3, you go away, you become someone else's, can you return? Are you chaste? Is that woman chaste that returns to you after she becomes another man's? Or is she greatly polluted? But we've played the harlot with many lovers. Let's get a couple more. So we got a little bit about food quality, when it comes to these dog supplements, you know what I'm saying? They're using the word adulterated. And then we get, degrading, spoiling, tainting, contaminating, Going against your oath, unchaste, okay, corrupt, got it. Now this is from a document called The Advances in Food Authenticity. So let's get kind of back on how it's connected with this food situation, man. They got this section right here on the adulteration with food, materials, and fillers. China's always in the mix, man. They're talking about this big head disease that they're getting, where infants are dying or requiring hospitalization, you know what I mean? So they're talking about the formula. Whoa. To evade detection by not having an appropriate solids content, some other cheap filler materials must be added to the milk. Even when food materials are used as fillers, the nutritional effects can be severe or fatal, as in the case of infant formula that can be an infant's sole source of nutrition. This proves to be the case in 2004 when infant formula that contained very little protein because of adulteration with starch and sugar. So they're pumping it up with starch, they're pumping it up with sugar, man. Cause infants in China to suffer from big head disease, whereby infants' heads will grow unusually large, whereas their torsos remain skeletal. Wow. Some alternatives to adulterating milk by watering down, less quality, right? Because of the substance they're adding. So some other alternatives include recycling milk that has exceeded its expiry date into ultra high temperature treated milk, or adding reconstituted milk powder into fresh milk. You see the mixing, right? So back to the bro dragon child, man. This was the point he was bringing out very clearly. It's really about this mixing, right? This mixing with this other substance, this mixing with this other belief or this other frequency. Or when it comes to a marital situation, yeah, you're mixing something foreign into your oath, your marital oath, you know what I mean? But this adultery has a lot to do with this adding, right? What are you adding to something that's pure water? What do you need to add to the code? What do you need to add to Hawaii? I gotta put a Yah in front of it. Many people taught to put the Yah in front of Hawaii, right? That's adultery. Why does your breath and security need a Yah in front of it? Hawaii means to exist. I am. Moshe said, what you want me to call you in Exodus 3? I am that I am. I am. Tell him I am sent you. I am. Hawaii. The breath. The existence. Your security. Don't need no Yah in front of it. I am. So, we're seeing many cases of adultery. Whether we're talking them Yahs, or whether we're talking them New Tests, or whether we're talking just straight up other powers before your power, harlotry, or we talking milk or dog supplements. What's adulterium? Okay, let's look at adulterium. All right, Latin word for adultery. Blending. Here we go again. Adding, mixing of different strains, ingredients, contamination. This is adultery. Idolatry is adultery. And mixing any other, code, other credo within the pure water of Hawaii's creed, Hawaii's code is adultery. It's contamination. Poor quality is the result. No other powers before me. Isaiah 43. What do you have to mix with your creator? Is mama not pure enough? Does she not give you life? Breath? Is Abba's security, vibration, frequency not enough? What must you mix? It's breaking rule number 1. You can see adultery many times in the script. Many times. And like I said, we'll get back to this hijack city over here, man. Hijack city. So when they bring up the code in the adulterous section, the new test, it's interesting that they never really bring up the fullness of the code. We're going to get this for the dismount. I mean, what is this guy saying in Matthew? Verse 16, behold, one came and said to him, good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said, why are you calling me good? You should know better than that. I'm Zeus. Why are you calling me good? Don't tell it to the Christian. God is good. Jesus is God. Why are you calling me good? And if JC is God, why can't you call him good? Whoa. Body bad for the illusion. They say JC is God. Yahweh Shai is the creator, right? The Son is the Father. If the Son is the Father in the flesh, why is he saying, don't call me good? But there is none good but one, that is God, right? The creator, right? That's interesting, right? I mean, he is the Father, but he can't be called good. But JC is God, but only God is good. But JC, who's a perfect man without any sin, is not good. Only God. But JC is God, right? Right? Kind of like when he says, I'm going back to my father's house. He didn't say my house, right? But JC is the Father, right? Come on, man. Y'all need to come up out of her, man. Y'all need to come up out of this, man. This is adultery. And he said unto him, which JC said, thou shalt do no murder. Whoa, back up to 17. And he said unto him, why you calling me good? There's no one good but the Creator. But if thou wilt enter into life and keep the code. And he said, what's the code? Which code? JC said, the code. So he's telling them to keep the commandments. They're saying, yeah, but, he said the commandment is to love, and love is everything. Love's the greatest commandment, so I'm just going to love everybody. Christians don't care about no code. Christians don't care about no commandment. Even JC's telling you to keep the commandments. What? What you mean? Oh, let's see if they give, see, Hijack City, these adulterers, these apostolate apostles. They don't want to give you the full code. They just give you a little bit, right? They give you a little bit of it. They don't give you no power before me. What's the code? Don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness. That's 4. Honor your father, your mother. That's 5. And thou shalt love your neighbor as yourself. Is that part? Hold up. Where does it say love your neighbor as yourself? I mean, it sounds good. I mean, love each other, everybody, love everybody. But where does it say that? It seems like JC's lying a little bit, right? He just gave us 6 commandments. One's not even in the commandments. No power before me, didn't mention that. Vanity, didn't mention that. The Shabbat did not mention that. He starts right here. Father and mother, murder, adultery. He didn't talk about stealing. He brought up false witnessing. He didn't bring up coveting your neighbor's house, not wanting anything that is your brother's and being jealous of him and all this. He just said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. I guess that's supposed to cover everything, right? Because love is just, but what's love? Even they say love is keeping the code, keeping the commandments. What's the commandments? He's just going to name a few. The young man said unto him, all these things I have kept from my youth. What do I lack? Hey, give to the poor, man. So he names 5 commandments, throws in love yourself or love your neighbor as yourself. Didn't bring up covetous, didn't bring up stealing. And love can't just cover those and not cover everything. If you're going to bring up not murdering, he brings up stealing, not murdering, adultery, that's 3. False witness, that's 4. Honor your father and mother, that's 5. All right. So he does bring up stealing and killing. He skips over the Shabbat, not taking Hawa's name in vain, which is what they do the entire New Test, talking about God this and God that, and God this and God that, because that's not the same God. Just like it says in the Mayan Codex and the Papuva. Friar Domenico de Viso says, man, the framer and the shaper is the most frequently mentioned power in America. The framer and the shaper is the most frequently mentioned power. What does he say? Let's get it right, because I hope you are extolling Hawa. This is, I told you it's the best dismount of all time. We just talking the code. This is only part 1 in the 9-part code series. I'm just going to get it right here. This is Papuva, and this is how you really connect things, man, and get to the root for real, for real. When you connect to the framer, when you connect to the shaper, it was already here. They took your purity. They took your pure water and they turned it into Christianity, turned it into all these other things. But when they rode up on us, like it says right here, let's pull it up. Let's get it bigger for the dismount. Tako, or framer, refers to one who makes something by putting things together, right? This is who they're calling wisdom in Christianity. A building from stone, adobe, a meal from various ingredients. A fine meal, not a adulterous meal. Or a woven cloth from individual threads. So wisdom, mother, Ama, who says I am understanding, right? I am life. You find me, you find life, because you get the ingredients to make a meal. Bang. Your father is the shaper, refers to one who makes something by modeling, molding, pottery from clay, sculpture from carved stone. So with the frequency, with the voice, with his word, the word is a sound. The sound is vibration. Vibration is frequency. It shapes you. Everything is shaped in the frequency. Everything is vibrating. That is your shaper. Your mother takes the ingredients to make a meal. Now you have creation. Bang. Yeah, man. I mean, thus gives shape to an otherwise amorphous substance. The framer and the shaper are the most frequently mentioned powers involved in the creation of the world. So when you talk about the creator, when you talk about creation, you're talking framer and shaper. Extol her, Ka. Their names imply that the creation involved giving frame and shape to matter that already existed. Like when they talk ki and how energy is already, there, right? It's the frequency you're swimming in. They give shape. Now you have something being framed in shape, something being formed. Now you have creation already existing rather than conjuring something out of nothing. This pair of powers is so important that soon after the Spanish conquest, listen up, my noggin, for the dismount, Father Domenico de Vicio used their quiche or root names. Quiche means root. Quiche. So he used their root names, their indigenous American root names, right? After the Spanish conquest, this Spanish friar, Father Domenico de Vicio, used their root names to refer to the God of the Old Testament. Whoa. If you didn't see clearly enough, framer, shaper, mother, father, wisdom is your mother. Extol her. First of his ways, first of his works of old, the framer and shaper. She who makes something by putting things together. Ama, wisdom, making a meal from various ingredients. Your father who is now modeling, molding like pottery from clay with his frequency. We're talking the code. This Domenico de Vicio used their original names to refer to the power only of the Old Testament. Now he's coming. He's a father, right? He knows his Bible, right? And he does not say that this has anything to do with the New Testament. He is making a separation, a distinction between the power of the Old Testament and the power of the New. That's why we say this, Jesus is Zeus. Dear Jesus is Zeus. It's not the God of the Old Testament, or else there would be no need to make this distinction. Body bag for the illusion. So the power of Moshe, of Joshua, of David, Psalms 18, smoke out of his nostrils, fire out of his mouth, is the power of the Old Testament, the Tanakh only. You don't have to adulterate it, put another substance into it to make a poor quality religion. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to abandon your ways for them because they can't even give you the full code. This JC can't even tell them the code. He gives them 5 things, and the 6th one ain't even in the code. They give you adultery. They give you murder. They give you stealing. They give you false witnessing. Honor your father and mother. And love your neighbor as yourself. What? That's the code? Don't take his name in vain. But they do that with their God business. No power before me. They do this with their JC. The Shabbat, they don't even care about that. They don't even care about it. Covetous, well, that's who they are, so they don't even bring it up. Right in our face, bro. But let's go back. Maybe that's just one instance. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like it happens again in Luke. So it happens in Matthew. It happens again in Luke. When we're talking about adultery, whoever puts away his wife, marries another, commits adultery, yada, yada. Let's see where he goes into the code. Oh, here we go, Luke 18, verse 20. All right, so here goes the JC again. Why you calling me good? No one's good but the Creator. I can't be that, but they're going to make me that. Thou knowest the commandments. Don't, no adultery. 1. No killing. 2. Don't steal. 3. False witness. 4. Honor your father and your mother. 5. He don't even give the love your neighbor thing. He stops at 5. He gives you half of the code. Why are they skipping the other half of the code? No one's talking Shabbat. No one's talking about no other gods, right? Wow. They did it again in this adulterous New Testament. That's 2 witnesses that don't know the code. I mean, damn. Do we have 3? Oh, damn. Even Mark. Even Mark, man. Again, don't call me good. And here we go again. Know the commandments: adultery, killing, stealing, false witness, defraud not. Is that? It's not stealing. It's not killing. Here we go. Just adding something, right? Adding something, right? You can't help it. To render something poor in quality by adding another substance. What are you adding, Mark? You false witness? Defraud not. It don't say defraud not anywhere in these so-called 10 commandments. No power before me, no vanity, Shabbat, honor your father and your mother, no murder, no adultery, no stealing, no false witness, no covetous, defraud not. How is that more important than the Shabbat or no other gods? Defraud not. These are false witnesses 101. So he gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he gives you 5. Luke gave you 5. He gives you 5 plus a fraudulent code. So does Luke. And then Matthew gives you his. Everyone's giving you, look. I mean, look, we're just talking adultery, man. I got to get out of Hijack City. Man, this is ridiculous. So Matthew gives you 5 plus this love your neighbor thing. Luke gives you 5 and that's it. He just stops there. And then Mark gives you 5 plus defraud not. This is adultery. Get out of her, my knock. Get out of her, man. And you can dig on the rest of the scripts, digging on adultery and, see where it's talking about, a marriage, with a man and woman, or, referring to your marriage with Hawa. Will you still murder and commit adultery and swear falsely and burn incense unto Baal and walk after other gods whom you know not, and come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name? Here comes that vanity again. And say we are delivered to do all these abominations in this house, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your eyes. Behold, even I have seen it, says Hawa, about them other gods again. Idolatrous worship is adultery. But the mixing of anything outside of the code, outside the oath, outside of what is there, like they're throwing in defraud not and love your neighbor stuff, all that is adultery. They're apostasizing, renouncing the true code, replacing it with what? Their religion. They're replacing their principles. They're forsaking their principles. They're abandoning their profession. What's your profession? To keep the code. All the code. The real code. Don't forsake your code. Don't be an apostate. And just keep digging on it, man. And, seeing how this fits for you. And, seeing how these things compare in your life. How this all flows. You know what I mean? By them that are no gods. A lot of this adultery seems to be compared directly with these other powers, these other gods that are being substituted. This other substance that's being added, creating a low quality vibration for the house of Hasharah. Adultery is na'af. Na'af, a primitive root to commit adultery, figuratively to apostatize, which again is to abandon your code, your profession. Whatever you profess, you've abandoned what you are attached to. You've become a haughty nation, too proud to see clearly, too proud to change your ways, with excessive pride. And Hawa hates that. Remember, 6 things has he hated, 7 are an abomination. We want to be established. We want Hawa to make plain the path of our feet, so that your ways be established, that we turn not to the right hand nor to the left, and remove our feet from evil. Attend to know mama, attend to know understanding, and hear the instructions of your father, and know that we are a product of our framer and our shaper, because we keep mama's ways, we hear the instruction, we are wise, because mama puts forth her voice and meets us right there where that door opens, where the paths meet at the entry to the city and the coming in at the doors. Mama's crying aloud. Do you hear her? Do you see clearly? Do you have the ingredients? to put a meal together, well, then you got wisdom, you got mama, you got your security. Hey, Manag, that means you've been shaped. Yeah, that's the power of the Tanakh only. And we're just digging on the 9 code. We'll be back with part 2. Whichever one we go next. And we're going to dig on it like we never dug on it before. We keeping the code, and this is for my code keepers only. All praise to Yah. Get out of that adultery, remove them substances, and become pure water again. Come back to Hawaii only. KTC, MHOE, and start dripping in that mem sauce. Get that water flowing and keep your fire burning. Allah, Shalom to the tribe.